Peoples of the universe, please attend carefully. The message that follows is vital to the future of you all.
Something definitely vital to the future, maybe not of you all, maybe not real, but to me, is to remember to click the turn me on button before I start speaking. It's always a sign that you don't know what you're doing when you start talking and then you go, oh, wait a minute, I haven't pressed me yet. So I haven't turned my camera on. So there you go. Hello, everybody. How are you? 1 second. Let me just have a sip of my coffee. And it is a good coffee. It is a good coffee, and it's a coffee that that I think we should all be proud and happy that exists. How is everybody? I hope you're all doing well this fine Sunday afternoon, Sunday morning, Sunday evening, depending where you are, wherever you could be in this wonderful world of ours. So something that I was thinking about that when I became religious recently. It came up in conversation about a week or so ago. The story of how I became religious. I might even regale you with that story today. But I was thinking about the rabbi of the seminary where I became a rabbi, right? Where I became religious. The guy's name was Rabbi Noach Weinberg, right? And he was. I was thinking he was a guy. He was a serious guy. He was a big guy. He was like the thing, right? He was like big with big hands. He was just a very big, powerful guy. Very, very charismatic. Very, very smart. But also like very, very happy. There's this happiness exuding, which is a bit weird because apparently he had the worst marriage you could imagine. Yet stay married, So, but he was somebody very big into personal joy. As a religious imperative, right? And I think that's something that's very important for all of us. 1 second, I got a little note saying you can't post to all destinations. Fine, I must be talking about Facebook. This is the first time I'm simulcasting on Facebook. That's very exciting for me. But there's this idea in Judaism called mitzvah gedola. It's a bit of a song. Mitzvah gedola is a very big mitzvah commandment. A commandment is it's one of the things that God tells you to do in the Bible, but it's really just good for God, good for you, good for everyone that you do. It's a mitzvah. So a big mitzvah, is to be lios b'simcha, to be in joy, in a state of utter joy, right? So that's so think about that for a second. They're saying it's one of the central things that God wants out of us in life is for us to be happy, for us to be in joy. Which is a bit weird, really, considering most religious orders are not so into the joy, the happiness, that sort of thing. It's a bit on the strange side. And also, it's a bit strange that, because life isn't, I would say, overly joyous. Life is often a bit hard for all of us. And I think, again, for peoples of faith, I think we're all finding it a bit. This is a weird twilight time, although I think for the other side, they are starting to freak out a little bit without realizing it. We're going to be talking about that. And that's really why I started doing this show. And also you guys said you want me to continue. So I don't get a huge audience for it, but yeah, listen, you guys want it, I'll do it. I am really genuinely happy to do whatever you guys want. I am a subscriber whore, but I'm also a whore to my subscribers. Whatever you guys want, I'll do here. By the way, if any of you guys haven't yet, click the link in the notes to sign up for my Indiegogo mailing list. That'd be fantastic. Thank you very, very, very much. Everybody does that. Like, share, subscribe, all those good things. So yes, that's really what God wants. God wants us to be in a state of joy, state of rapture joy. So how do you achieve that, right? Like how can you possibly get into that state? Fine. So that's one question we are going to be talking about today. Let me see if I can look up something right now that might actually be a good guideway for that. So I'm going to look up the 6 constant mitzvahs. This is not something I'm sure we're going to be talking about, but this actually might be a good guide. 1 second. That's interesting. Okay, so that I think we will talk about that at some point today. So, there's a psychologist I knew once, name of Evan Savinski, and he was married to this, like, either he was a psychologist, also married to a mathematician, right? It's like insanely brilliant people. They said they lived in the old city when I was in seminary, and so basically how it worked out it's called yeshiva. When you're in, especially in the old city, it's like, I'll just around and people get to know you. You're in one community, they get just to know you as a face going around. So anyway, so the oftentimes you get invited for Sabbath meals, right? You go for Shabbos. You want to come for Shabbos? You can come for Shabbos. What do you want to come for lunch? You want to come for dinner? You want to come for Shabbos? You want to come for both meals? What do you want? You want to come for third meal? Want to come for Shabbos? That's the way Jews talk. You want to come for Shabbos, right? Shabbat. See, Shabbat Shalom. So I was over there at a meal, but yeah, and I was like getting to know their family. Again, brilliant people. So this guy, Evan Savinski. Just as an aside, two wild things about Evan Savinski. One, I saw him perform. Or was it performed on him? I can't remember. No, it's performed on him, right? There's a Kabbalistic cure for hepatitis, right? I'm going to tell you the Kabbalistic cure for hepatitis, and it worked. Freaky, man, but it freaking works. It actually genuinely works. You get, and the guy comes and does it, right? You get like a bunch of pigeons, right? And it's a weird thing when somebody says, "Get yourself a bunch of pigeons," right? If that's the first instruction you're given, you're in for some strange crap is coming. So get yourself a bunch of pigeons, right? And then you put a pigeon and you get its ass, right? And you turn its head. So you do it gently, you don't hurt it, right? And you get its ass, so you put it on the guy's belly button with hepatitis, right? And you don't hold it, but the pigeon then starts to go and die. Pigeon just dies, okay? And it's like, you don't strangle it. It's just, and so then you take that pigeon, put it aside, you get another pigeon, right? And you put it on the guy's belly button. You go, this is the truth. This is true. This is not a joke, right? Nobody want to say true story. Full of crap. But this is actually, it's true. And so you put that pigeon up, and you put it, wait for like and it dies. Freaking dies, right? And you keep doing this until the pigeon stops dying, right? And then the person doesn't have hepatitis anymore. The next day, it's gone. And it works. Okay, so I think this was done on him or done for him. I can't remember. Second thing is he taught the thing about life between life, right? He was very big into past life regression. And and what he was trying to do is regress people to the state in between life, right? And when he got that, because you can regress people to other lives or whatever's going on with that, but that's a thing. But if you can regress people in between life, he found there was no way of communicating because there was no linear, there was no linear conception of reality, right? Kind of like it was like you're outside of time. Best representation I've ever seen of that on film is you got to see a long movie and kind of a plodding movie as well, Interstellar. But when you get to the end of that does that kind of thing, right? So yeah, it's that's Evan Savinski. So he has this thing that he believes the most complex thing in creation. See, even when you like try and use non-religious terms, it's pretty much impossible. You can create in reality, right? In creation, one of the most complex things is the human nervous system, right? The central cortex. Central cortex, which is basically your brain, right? It's like the most complicated computer that could possibly exist. Complex thing. And it does so many subtle, complex things at once. And it's designed to function at its absolute best if one believes in a infinite deity. And it's designed to function at your absolute worst. Like all your fears are going to be magnified if you don't believe in a deity, right? And life is much, much harder. Now, so you could take this argument both ways because you can say, well, that obviously proves that God is a figment of people's imaginations, because it's some kind of genetic imperative that we needed to invent this thing for ourselves, so we don't go crazy. Therefore, I don't need to believe it, right? So that's the one way. But you could also argue the other way. It said, and this thing just happened by chance, just by chance. The most complex thing in reality, the most complex thing to exist, just happened to have to need a belief in a deity, an infinite loving deity, to function at its optimum. That seems to kind of suck. Yeah, it's good for me who believes in an infinite loving deity, but if you're the type of person who doesn't believe in that, that's just a kind of like, well, that nature screwed you over. And didn't just screw you over. Nature had bent you over and I would say pleasured themselves within you quite intimately. That would be my estimation. But yeah, so like the most common thing in creation needs if you believe in a deity, right? If you believe in a deity, things are things can be scary, but they're less scary. Things are less meaningless, like or random. Like, okay, let's say I believe there's an infinite loving God that wants the best for me and the best for everybody, right? And that's my basic core belief, right? I think there's an infinite loving God that just wants us all to be get the best out of life, which essentially is the greatest amount of pleasure, right? And like, I think that's what God wants, right? So I believe that's my belief. So therefore, and I believe God also has complete control over everything at all times. God is like, God has control over the pixels and the nanopixels of reality, right? There's nothing God can't do. In essence. So fine. So with that belief system, however terrible things are, you know that God's kind of got your back, and hopefully you won't like everybody needs pain. Everybody needs pain in life to grow. Like, you know, one of the greatest things of the best Batman movie, which is Batman Begins. And that's the I will brook no denial on that. Batman Begins is by far the best Batman movie. I mean, let's just go through them, right? Well, you got the Batman 66. Well, yeah, it's kind of fun, but it's not like, you know, it's Batman 66. If you want to say that's the best, well, I could hear that argument, but it's I think it's just too silly to contemplate. And it's like you got the Tim Burton ones, the first two, the 89 and 92, I think ones. They're very like stylized, they're cool, but it's not really Batman. I mean, look, Batman Begins isn't really Batman either. But it's developing this new genre that didn't really exist yet. So then you get the Schumacher ones, which, okay, they're not the best. They're not the best Batman movie. They're freaking awesome. So then you get Batman Begins, right? Now, Batman Begins is interesting as a Batman movie because it's again not a very Batman-y Batman, but I'm kind of used to that now. But it's got a beginning, middle, and end. It's a complete movie. It's a story, right? It's like independent in of itself. So therefore, Batman Begins is the best of the Batman movies. So, but it also is the best of Batman movies because best Alfred as well. Even though I did like the Jeremy Irons, Alfred and the Batfleck. Okay, I thought that was a good combination. But I like the Michael Caine Alfred because Michael Caine had this great line in it, right? Michael Caine says, "Why do we fall down, sir? Why do we fall down, sir? So we can learn to get up again." So that's essentially why we have pain in our life, right? There is no growth without pain, and pain is often painful. You know, oftentimes we don't want pain, right? So God has to put us in painful situations to experience the pain because most of us don't want to go through that. Hopefully not, right? Hopefully you don't have to do that. But yeah, so but with that belief system, there is a loving God that Jews have an expression. We have an expression called Gumzelitova. This is also for the good, right? So, and you normally say that when bad stuff happens, Gumzelitova. It's also for the good. I'm just going into a gas chamber. Gumzelitova. You know, I mean, if you can maintain it there, you're doing pretty. I guess when it's inevitable, it's probably easier. I don't know. But anyway, so but if you don't believe in a God, if you don't believe in God, then like my daughter said after the election, and not right after the election, it seemed I I was like, well, it sounds like he's Biden's won, right? Like, but it's also my brain was like, what? Because I saw, the voter irregularities happen in real time, like in front of me. I was like, what? Wait, what? And so my brain was just like, they declared him winner, but what? They're not talking about this, and it's weird. And I don't understand why. Like, what? If this is nothing, why aren't they talking about it? I don't understand, right? Because I saw it, right? I saw what the hell? It was so obvious. Yeah, I have to tell you, if they, I see two paths for America, and I think by extension the world right now. And that's why, I believe things are going to come out pretty good. Because here's where I am right now. Do you ever see the episode of South Park? The episode of South Park where one of them is not Cartman, but one of the other boys are put in charge of this little league team, right? And they're useless, but there's got every movie trope that they're gonna win. Like it's their last chance. They got to pull it out this one time, and it's this last chance, and they're gonna do. And it's like it's a perfect story of everyone going. And the kid's like, well, by the rules of every movie I've ever seen, we're gonna win tomorrow. But I don't know how. But every piece of media I've seen is lying, or we're gonna win. And of course, they get trounced. It turns out to be the other team's victory story. They really see them crying, "Yay, we won!" Anyway, so that's basically where I am right now with the whole election and political situation. Right, everything I know about God and biblical philosophy and the way God acts and the way God does stuff tells me that we are in for an insane time. Like things are going to get crazy. And I think good, ultimately. But every piece of logic my brain knows about life in this world and only this world tells me that is not very, very, very unlikely. And I think there's a difference between very unlikely and impossible. I just think something crazy is going to happen. Fine. Before I get into it, let's get to the chat. I'll be 20 minutes in. Brandon Bing's here. Eastland, how you doing? 7. I don't know what that means. I guess probably lolls at it. So he will tell me. Oh man, it just super jumped, right? Derek Manis is here. And And that's the most amazing thing I could think to say, and I don't think I could ever repeat it. Right? I don't think it could ever be repeated. So I hope you got that right. That was the absolute answer of the life, the meaning of the life, universe, and everything. Right. So I hope somebody else writing it down because I don't think I can even remember it. What's that? What? I'm sticking with you. My power went out for a second, so my browser rebooted. Thank you so much for sticking around, everybody. Fine, I'll say hello to Derek Manners. How you doing? My name would be better. Say hello. I am pretend I spelled your name right. I will always pretend you spelled my name right, Eastland. Dr. Dave is here. How you doing? And he's saying problem big says hello to people. I think a great guy is here. Wagwan Rabbi, Memory Factory here. Oh, hey, you doing, mate? I'm glad you're here. I'm not sure what Wagwan means, but greetings. I hope you're still here. Don't be naughty. Don't be naughty and don't cause trouble in the chat. You're a good boy last time we liked you, and we'll be fine. What says, what if that belief in a deity is replaced with a belief in a cult or political system, Marxism, capitalism? Does this serve to replace the deity for the same? No, it doesn't. That's exactly what happens. Universally, when you replace it with other systems, you're really replacing it with oneself, right? That's universally the case, and it always leads to bad news, which we will be talking about very shortly. Very good question, though. Would you still believe he protests his moral duty to the God? Yeah. Is he banned like totally forever? Was it Nut Boy, whatever his name is? Stop me. It's about measles. Okay, I don't know what happened there, but okay. The chat. Where are we up to? Charlotte Shells is here. Sorry, memory. Okay, I happened to study the Black Civil Rights Movement for a level at school, and that episode was very inaccurate in how it portrayed the time period. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I guess we're talking about Rosa, right? Yeah, I really didn't know much about it. I just found it kind of boring, quite frankly. Kind of boring. Fine. So what were we talking about? Let me talk about. So yeah. So it's interesting. So anyway, where should we go with this? So let's go with this thing over here, which is oh man, did I move away from that page? That was silly of me. Hang on. Let me find it again. Maybe we'll go with history. History. There you go. That should take me there. Fine. Okay. So basically, I was saying that that a belief in a deity, belief in God. I mean, I guess the belief in a cultural Marxism thing does keep you like stable. It does keep you more stable, right? But ultimately, it ends up with self-worship, which is where I think things go. Things go somewhat badly. How? Oh man! I just clicked on the thing and it just vanished again. Oh, there it is. Fine. So there are these things called the 6 constant mitzvahs, like mitzvahs we talked about earlier. 6 constant mitzvahs. This is a good way. Again, this is for peoples of faith. This is a good way of maintaining that faith, because faith is that thing that makes you deny what you see in front of your eyes, right? And to believe in something higher, in something beyond that, right? Like, how can I explain it? I have to think about that for a second. How can I explain that? I don't know. I have to think about it. Fine. I will think about it as I'm saying. So yeah. Faith is that thing that makes you. The more that you are real with there being, again, if you believe in a loving, omnipotent deity, faith is that thing that makes you believe it. So we live in a finite world, and the function of that world, to a greater or lesser extent, is to make us not see the the infinite, right? Like the infinite beyond, the infinite, which is God, right? To make us think that this finite world is all there is, right? And that's what darkness is, right? Darkness is the absence of light, the absence of seeing there being a greater deity, but beyond. So fine. Where was I going with that? So that's so we got. I totally lost my train of thought. Wait a second. That happens. I stand up. Sometimes I stand up, which is why I turn my camera off so I don't do the rabbinic dick pic. I stand up and I get some air, and I'm like, I just picked up my coffee, and I was just an autopilot from my sentence. So what were we talking about? All right. So anyway. So let's go back to something else I was saying earlier. What I'll remember in a couple of minutes. So I see America at a crossroads right now because if Biden is inaugurated, I think that's really the death of America, right? I think that's going to be the death of America because for a couple of reasons. One, most Republicans are going to say there's no point voting. There's no point voting. It was cheap. I mean, yeah. Let me qualify. If he's inaugurated without the voting irregularities investigating and debunked, right? Like if they're investigated and they lose in court of law, they lose. Yeah, they're debunked. They lose. I mean, that's just the way it is, right? But if they're not investigated and he's inaugurated, I think that's probably going to be the death of America because the Republicans will go, what's the point of voting? No point in voting. And the truth is, they're right. There will be no point in voting because if they worked out this system of cheating, which they seems to be pretty good for them, right? They worked out how to do it. Then they're always going to do it. Like Robin's will say there's no point in voting, and people will say they'll be right. There will be no point in voting. So I don't know what's that going to do. So best case scenario, you get like a completely defeated red states, like just completely and utterly defeated, which is what they really want, right? The leftists, they really are not leftists. Leftists are sane. The progressive, right? So the best case scenario is you get that, and they'll just be like, I guess I did, and they'll live in defeat. I think more likely there'll be conflict. More likely, red states will go, well, what's the point of being part of this corrupt union, right? Like, what is the point of it? And I can see that happening. I just see. I think Biden's governorship is going to be inept and disastrous, and probably lead to global destruction within 2 to 3 weeks anyway, right? So honestly, that's where I see America going. Right, I see the best case scenario is a completely defeated red state, so like middle of America, and demoralized, and America becoming, that's it. It will be the end of America. And also I think they want to end personal affluence, right? Personal ability to to control one's own destiny, to have a business. So that's why I can see them using the pandemic as a pretext to have a year-long lockdown, right? To impoverish everybody and make them wolves of the state. I think that would make them very happy. Look, they haven't been. It's not like they've been hiding what they're gonna do. As soon as they got their the insane people that they have coming on, like AOC is going to be normal, right? So that's really where you have one side. So that and God essentially forsaking the faithful, right? So or at least he's having that appearance, and that. In that case scenario, you need to be able to say Gumzelitova. I guess there's a greater plan I don't understand, and I have faith, even though everything I see is terrible. Right? That's what people said in the Holocaust. They said, I don't know what was going on, but I believe in God. Right? That and you've got that more. And I guess a lot of those people got to. They got to a higher level of that they could possibly got otherwise through insane pain. But that's what pain does for you. And pain does, has the ability to elevate. If you can go into, a shower, shall we say, and say, I believe and trust in God, which I know a lot of people did. You've reached a level of belief in God, or faith in God, which is, very, very, very high. You couldn't reach there without that, right? So there's that. That's that thing of pain and growth. That nobody wants to do that kind of pain, and nobody. That's why that growth, that's thrust upon you. But I think generally speaking, God wants us to live in complete joy. Like, so how do you live in complete joy? So we're coming up to the holiday of Hanukkah, right? Hanukkah is a time of miracle, where a miracle is when reality inverts, and that's why I think it's very significant. By the way, the electors are all going to be. That's all happening during Hanukkah. Hanukkah is a big deal. Like it was the last day of Hanukkah last year, the year before, that Rabbi got released. Who was a guy who was like framed because he was a Jew. Essentially, that was the most pure anti-Semitism I think I've ever seen. Like unvarnished. Totally got screwed over, poor guy. But anyway, Trump released him. That's why I'm that's one of the reasons he's my boy. I'm gonna have his end. Like I think if he goes through the courts and he loses, he goes through the courts and he loses. He concedes, but. You know what? I can see the other path where God doesn't seem to forsake the faithful. I think where God continues to vilify those who hate Him. And I think that's coming. I think that's coming, and I think even though I think we're in this unique situation right now where it seems hopeless, and even though it doesn't, honestly, it seems far less hopeless than it did a week ago. But normally speaking, it's like under any normal situation, this is hopeless, right? This is absolutely hopeless. It's when people cheat, they win because they cheat. So under normal situation, this would be absolutely hopeless. But that's why it takes faith. It takes faith to say, I don't think God's going to appear to forsake the faithful and lift up those who hate Him. I think God's going to do the opposite. I think God's giving them rope to hang themselves. And I think this is also going to be something that's going to hang media. Because okay, what's going to happen? What's going to happen if I'm right? Right? What's going to happen if this actually happens? People who are people's idols, and those people think the idols that they believe in something different. They believe in something, a power other than God, right? They believe in the media. They believe in social media. If Twitter says it must be real. Twitter says this is fraud. This is nothing to talk about. So if the entire media says something, that's all going to be torn. That's all going to be torn because there's no way of denying it. But then they will deny it, right? But they won't be able to really deny it to themselves that they said there's no evidence. There's no evidence because we know there is. There's not only evidence. There's going to be compelling evidence. So I honestly think what's going to happen if we get to a situation where you've got the entirety of the media and social media says one thing, and then you get the law and the Supreme Court say another, right? I think when push comes to shove, I think they'll scream, but I think they'll go down like bitches. Yeah, that's really what I think is going to happen. I think they're going to go down like bitches. I think they're going to scream. I think they're going to squeal, but I think they're going to go down like bitches. So I think honestly, I really think that we are at the. We're like the Jews when they're by the Red Sea. It looked hopeless. It looked hopeless. It looked hopeless lots of times, right? It's always looked hopeless. And sometimes it is. Sometimes it's the way it looks, right? But even though in those times, Gumzelitova, right? It's hopeless. But I think, and then the Egyptians were coming. They were going to drive the Jews into the sea, and it was only then when when the first one, who was it? Salah ran into the sea, right? And he was only, I think, when he got up to the water up to his nose, because that's real belief in God, right? That's real sincere belief in God. That when the water got up to his nose, did that miracle happen? I think that's where we're going, right? I just think every bit of logic tells me that God is going to reward the faithful, right? And not make us endure something. But I don't know. Listen, I don't know. It's scary times. But that's why you need faith, right? That's why you need faith. That's why I think it's good for peoples of faith to get together. And that's why I say these things out, because it strengthened me. Teaching, the best way to learn anything is to teach, right? And the best way to strengthen yourself is to strengthen others, right? And that's true no matter what you believe in, what deity but you believe in, but or no deity at all. But I just caught an eye on the chat. We'll say I'm listening. To be honest, it's like being in church. Is that good or bad? I haven't been to church a long time. Well, yeah. Listen, look, it's just what I believe, mate. And I try and talk in universal truths, but I try and I think if God was a factor in your life at one point, and for whatever reason it's not, it's worth having a chat. It's worth having a chat. And here I'll go one step further. Let's say that a lot, and I meet a lot of people like this, and myself included, a lot of the time, that if you believe in God, right, and something happens to you that's horrible, that you can't understand, a lot of people then get mad at God, right, and they remain mad at God for years, and they won't let it go, right? They won't let it go. I think if you're in that situation, I think things are about to go crazy. I think now's a really good time just to have a chat and say, and listen, just a non-judgmental chat, and let God chat to you, right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a good time to say, look, what the hell? If you're upset at God's own thing, how could that be good? Right, and let your anger out. I think, look, God is with you 24/7. If God's omnipotent, God is with you 24/7, and you kind of know what that means. What's that thing I found today? This thumb. 1 second. Let me see if I can find this. I'm typing something out, and I normally speak what I'm typing as I type, but I gotta not do it because I don't want to spoil the surprise. I thought it was funny. Okay, here we go. Thank God it auto-filled. There we go. Fine. So let me just get a bigger version of it. So this is where I got my thumbnail from today, my image of the good Lord. Hang on a second. It's opening up. Hopefully. There you go. I got to find that window. Share screen. We're going to share screen. God knows what turns you on. But it's funny. But it's again, if you believe in God, it's true. If God is omnipotent, God is with you within your most private, intimate thought in everywhere. So that being the case, you got to expect God's seen some stuff. You shouldn't be embarrassed by anything, but we do that. That's what living with God is. Living God is reasonably intimate. Again, if you're not religious, I hope this is a window onto a foreign worldview, which I always find interesting. I always like looking into people's worlds that are completely different from mine. So again, but that's just that's just me for you. So anyway, but again, I recognize these are confusing and scary times. Because this is where we started from. My daughter said to me, what would you do after the election? What would you do if you don't believe in God? You'd be really, really crying. And I can say, absolutely. And I guess what you would do is exactly what the other side did when Trump won in 2016. You'll be like, everything's meaningless. You basically, you'll do that, wouldn't you? Right? I guess so. But let me open up this next thing. But anyway, so listen, hang on 1 second. I think I open this with. It's a PDF, but the Adobe PDF program is freaking horrible. Let me see if I can do on preview. Preview's much better. Okay, good. But anyway, here, look, let me give you this thing called the 6 constant mitzvahs, which are 6 things, 6 commandments, ways of connecting to God that you should be doing 24/7, which is kind of like, it means it's you program it into your background, software. So the 6 constant mitzvahs. The first one of that is to know there's a God, know there's God, and that God created all things, right? Know that everything was created by God. Then again, that's a pretty easy one for me anyway, because that's just kind of my background. By the environment, it's like if you're a Dalek ship, when you're on Dalek spaceship, you hear this brum brum thing in back, that Dalek, always know, that's that. They always have that in my background. So so that's the first one of them, and it's kind of easy if you do that. So the second one though is not to have any other gods beside God, which means that you really can't attribute anything to anything other than God, right? Because God's infinite, right? Alan Moore really understands this, by the way, especially if you ever seen his thing called Showpieces. Like he really gets it. Fine. So that's the second one. Hang on 1 second. We go here. Press the wrong button. 1 second. The third of them is to know God is one. So what does that mean? That means there is nothing other than God. Like everything, all the divisions between things are not real. Like I remember when I went to art college, right? And I had this really good guest lecturer, a guy called Mike Lake. He was like a royal artist, right? But he would teach you things to look at the non-space, right? Like instead of drawing a hand, draw everything that isn't the hand, right? See the negative space, right? So like that's basically, once you do that, then you get to kind of see God, because you know that like the feeling of individuality, the feeling of separation is an illusion. There is only God, right? So that's the third of them. So those three, I guess, basically basic knowledge of what conception of God is. So then the next three are a little bit trickier. So then the fourth one is to fear God, right? To be afraid of God. And I think by fear it means more live in awe, because do this exercise for yourself one time. It's really mind-blowing. Stop and consider everything. Like consider what you are. You are like this cup. This cup is really, what is it? It's a bunch of electrons flying around in the particular order. The feeling that the reason that has a feeling of solidity, right? And the feeling that it's a separate thing. Is really, nobody knows why that happens, right? It's just a complete miracle, and it's kind of awe-inspiring. And inside it is a liquid called coffee, which is very, very tasty. It's a very pleasant liquid. It's we have all these really, really very pleasant ways of living. Of having to do things like if you eat a good meal, it's like there's a lot. When you think about all the incredible complexity to reality, people often ask me, how can a rationalist believe in God? It should be hard for a rationalist to believe in God, because it does take a leap of faith. And I would say not so, yes, but not where you think, right? I get that. This basically gets into a difference between Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, right? Because Christianity is I think is the most faith-based of the religions, and it's based around having a loving relationship with your deity, right? It's like that deity loves you, and that love conquers all. That conquers all, including logic and reason, which I hear, and it's actually a beautiful thing, but that's an extreme more than I can live in, right? And you got Islam is a much more of a authoritarian religion where God's is you have to fear and obey God. He is your master, right? Which I believe too. I think that's all true as well, right? So Judaism is somewhere in the middle between the two of those. So anyway, so you have fear God, which is Yeah, be aware there that you and God is God. There's a big difference. God. If he gets to a fight, God's probably going to win, right? So probably don't do that. But so that that's what fear God is. But then the next one of these is to love God, right? And that's actually a much harder thing, because then you've got to go through your life and you've got to accept any pain and hardship as being good, as being a gift to you, as well as all the. I mean, you look at everything you have in life. There's so much you can look at in life, and you can be grateful for. You wake up, you have your eyes. You're able to walk. You're able to anytime. Whatever. Nobody has nothing, right? And everybody has something to be grateful for. And gratitude, by the way, is just such an incredible way of being happy. The more gratitude you have for stuff, the more happiness you have. And again, that doesn't matter what you believe, what religion you believe in, or if you don't believe in religion. The more gratitude you have for whatever that you have, the happier you are. And that's I think that's kind of a universal truth. And then the final of these 6 months constant mitzvahs. This is the hard one, right? This is the really tricky one. Is not to go after the desires of your heart or your mind. Like sometimes you want something that you shouldn't have. Like God actually says, nah, you can't do that. Like for Jews, there's a lot more of those things. Like, I really want shrimp. and I can't have shrimp, right? So like, doesn't matter how much I desire shrimp. I want lobster. I want surfer. I want filet mignon. There's a lot of stuff I want that God says, yeah, no, you can't have that. But why not? It's tasty because you're Jewish. It's just the way it is, mate. I'm like, well, okay, I guess so. But that's basically it. Like, oftentimes, I am assailed by an image, shall we say, that's not the cleanest. Now, I'm a very dirty guy in general, right? So I am, generally speaking, very, very up for being assailed by images that are not the cleanest. But I know I'm a pretty dirty guy, so I'm really trying. Like, even though I'm, I am quite open about my personal sexuality. I am actually insanely controlled about it, because if I let it get out of control, that's going to get out of control really, really quickly. It's like the alcoholic thing that you don't just have one drink. So So like if I'm assailed by an image that is not the cleanest, right? That turns me on. Which, let me tell you, for me, freaking anything, absolutely freaking anything turns me on. I not going after the desires of my heart and life, is looking away or turning the channel or doing something else, right? That's essentially not going. So anyway, so that's actually if you can do those 6 things and you believe in God, that's a pretty good way of strengthening your faith. Fine. Let me pull up this next thing. Wow, I've been talking for a long time already. Blimey, look at me go. Go over here. No, I'm in the wrong folder. Go over here. There we go. Now I'm in the right folder. And should be over. Is this it? No, that's not it. Oh, that could be it, actually. What is this? I guess that'll do if I can't find the other thing. That one and one more. I don't think it's there. The thing I'm looking for, I'm not sure if it's there. I really thought it was. No, fine. I'll just share this. Fine. So I started talking about my. First time I got a was it a comment from Facebook, and I don't think it's a nice one. Let's see what they got to say. Who is this? Oh no. No, they just came from regular from YouTube. Who cares? Fine. And it was actually being complimentary. It's fine. Let me go back to this thing. Go application there. Fine. So I started talking about my Indiegogo campaign. So listen, if you're of the religious bent, I'm going to talk you through my book, Biblical Bible Stories, so Atheists, Christians, Rationalists, and Rogues. So this is a story that I think is very, very biblically accurate. But I think I wrote it for a secular audience. I wrote it to have a universal appeal, because actually I do think it has a universal appeal. By the way, I just want to zoom in on something which I'm really, really proud about here. This, firstly, this drawing I'm really happy, but like this bit of collage here. I got got these. I mean, these leaves are real. These are my neighbor's. This is my neighbor's house. I was like, oh, they look about right. Yeah, so there we go. So this is that's Jonah. Jonah hangs out with a tree a lot, and I do intimate it's marijuana, just in case you can see where you see where it says the Jonah tree over here. This thing over here, does that? Yeah, this thing over here. So yeah, that was a very large marijuana bush I use as a as a what's it, a model for it. Fine. So this is a very, very biblically accurate story. But I hopefully it's I like to think it's a bit of a dramatic story. So hey, let me pull up. I'll walk you guys through it. We go. This is the one. Doink. There you go. So the first bit you get in it is this little story, which is that for the initial crowdfunding campaign I did. This was the one of the stretch goals. How do I zoom forward? Is there like a forward or back thing here? Anyway, so basically, I cast myself as truth, like the element of truth, because truth's a bit of a dick, right? So truth, this is from a medrash, which is kind of like an apocryphal tale. So truth argues that God's thinking of creating the world, creating mankind, humanity, and truth says this is a terrible freaking idea. This is an absolutely awful idea. Mankind's going to do terrible things. It's basically like you're taking a disgusting animal and you're putting a holy soul in it. It's vile. They're going to do terrible things, and I get very worked up about it, and I talk about all the hypocrisy and all the bad things that people do, right? So God goes, yeah, that's it. You're making a pretty good point there, truth. You are making a good point there, truth. So you know what we're going to do? He takes truth and he throws truth down. Down. Ready go. Truth falls, and he hits the earth, shatters into a billion pieces, and those billion pieces shatter into a billion pieces. Baron Harkonnen, yes, I did have that feel. And that's how truth gets into everything, right? Truth is a truth becomes is in every ideology, right? And without truth, any ideologies won't stand. So then this is chapter 1. I need to zoom out a little bit, I think. There you go. Yeah, chapter 1 is this was a 6-issue series of comics did over about 5 years. I should really do. It would be great if I get enough money that I can do some color pages. So this first story is called the Cruel and Holy King, right? So this is all about King Nimrod. King Nimrod was the guy who built the Tower of Babel. Now, Tower of Babel, fascinating story, Tower of Babel. Tower of Babel doesn't make any sense. I've probably talked about it in the show before. Tower of Babel doesn't make any sense the more you know about it, right? The more you know about it, you go, what? No. So it was a tower built to people to climb up and go and make war on God, right? Go and destroy God. So so it's a bit of a bad idea. God's probably going to win. But secondly, the more you know, more confusing it gets. They build it in a valley. They build the tower in a valley. If you're building something to climb into heaven, maybe build it at the top of a mountain, not in a valley. And they build it out of bricks rather than building it out of rock. Rock would have been much stronger, much sturdier. For a tall. You put. I think the campaign is in the show notes, isn't it? I mean, now I've got to check. You see, that sort of thing I pick up on straight away. There we go. I'll put it in the chat as well, but I'm pretty sure it's in the notes. Crap balls! It's not. 1 second. You are absolutely correct. There we go. Thank you. See, problem being, you are a prince among men, sir. Let me just put that in the chat. That's the first thing. Doink. And then we go over here. Edit. Over here. There we go. I can't believe I forgot to put that in. There you go. Well, let me save it now. It's saving. It's saying it's saving. Let's see what happens. No, won't let me. I'll do it on YouTube. Okay, I'll go to the YouTube page. Do this. Ha ha. Boink. Now let's try save. Thinking about it, it did it. Ha ha! Who's laughing now? Thank you, problem being. Funny. So they built this tower, right? In a valley out of brick. So the answer to all this is the valley is called the Valley of Hinnom. I can't. Is it? They call it totally. Obviously, they end up calling Babel. And that's where the rainwater, the flood water, exited out the world. This is like the plug hole of the world, right? Which means that everybody who died in the flood, the entire world that died in the flood, their bones, their remains, is in this valley, right? It's made out. It's like basically made out of the dead of an entire world, right? Like this is the ground. This is basically the ground zero of remnants of a Holocaust, right? And the bricks being made there are being made from that ground, being built from the dead. So what this tower is not a thing to climb up to heaven to kill God. This is a monument to a cruel and harsh God, right? A God that hates you, a God that will destroy you. It's making war on the idea of there being a loving, kind God. So this is Nimrod. Nimrod, who I actually got my neighbor Shaggy model for him. So I do this little opening thing because I did this right at the last minute. I felt it needed like this monologue to bring you into it, and it like gives you like the idea of like what the Babel experience was like. And it starts off with him as an old guy. This is my son, Arya, who's like much younger than a modern. He's playing young Aesop, right? Yeah, Aesop, who I believe Mr. Trump is the messiah of the nation of Aesop, who this guy came from. So Aesop, a little bit bloody in the Bible. So he actually hang out with Nimrod quite a bit. And he ended up killing him in the end, which you're going to see. So basically, he gets Nimrod to tell him stories about the world. Freaking love this page. This page this is one of the earliest pages I drew, so it doesn't look. It's not. I would have done it better now, but this is the idea of the serpent in the Garden of Eden ends up living inside your head, right? That's basically where it is. That when it's banished to slither on the ground, it's actually. That's that voice in your head that tells you to do terrible ideas, right? So anyway, so we get a recap of reality of life. And this is him Nimrod talking about hunting, like how he was such a skilled hunter that the kosher way of killing something is cutting it across his throat by the two windpipes over here. So that kills something the quickest. So he was able to do that with a spear, right? But he says the best form of hunting is hunting people's hearts, like being able to talk them round, right? And again, I could really see Donald Trump being the inheritor of this, and I think also the rectifier of it, the purifier of it. So basically, he becomes this big warlord. They have lots of fights and battles and stuff, which is why this was the second issue I drew, but I made it the first issue in the running order because I thought, a bit of daring do, bit of blood and guts was always good. So then this is basically where he's talking about his central philosophy of God being cruel, right? God being harsh and cruel and strong, and God respects harsh, cruel strength, right? So and that's how he came to build the tower. That's what the tower was, a monument to the cruelty and the harshness of God. So they built the tower, and then right as to demonstrate this, there's a scene where he brings up his youngest daughter and then cuts her throat to show you like that this is how batshit crazy he is about this, right? This is basically emanating through time and reality, and that's when God arrives and confuses everybody's speech, and then we get into chapter 2, right? So that's the first part. What happens next? And so then we round up the story. But the whole point of this thing is to it fleshes out the whole nature of the story, which is essentially on Yom Kippur, we in the afternoon prayer, when everybody's been fasting for a day and you're a bit like tired and out of it, right? You read this book called the Book of Jonah, which I'm sure you heard of me. Zoom forward to that. Where is it doing? Wow, this is a big. Oh no, down. There you go, Book of Jonah. And nobody really knows why. I was like, why read this on Yom Kippur? So the Book of Jonah is essentially the second half of the story that starts with the raven and the dove in the flood story, which is why I wanted to have the repercussions of the flood happen, and then you see the flood, and now once you see that, now you get to see the second half of the story, which is Jonah, Jonah and the world, and it's basically his life as a prophet. But yeah, the Kikilion, the plant he gets is I drew it as a massive weed bush, because if you can't draw that in your own comic, when can you? But I did this like silhouette stuff going. It was kind of like this ongoing theme throughout this book. And listen, if the campaign does really well, I might like give it like one tone of color, right? This is a great page. I love this page where basically he wakes up, he realizes that he has to, that God wants him to go and prophesy to Nineveh, so they will repent. But if they do that, then Israel's going to be destroyed by their offspring, right? So he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to. So he says, I can't not do what God tells me to, and I can't do it. So when I go, so he decides he has to kill himself, right? So he gets this knife and holds it to his neck and tries to kill himself. Freaking love this page. Really. But he can't do it. So he runs instead, right? And then it's my dentist, by the way, is the plays the models for the ship captain. I say plays the ship captain. My former dentist, Bernie Einrich, which is how I learnt as a Alden Einrich's name. So anyway, so he runs, but God chases him, and the people on the ship draw lots to work out who it is that God's mad at, right? And they basically throw him off, and then but he figures, I'm going to die. So okay, that's good enough. That works. So then we get this like really crazy chapter, right, where he's inside the whale, and you just have this like nutso thing where he meets this kid and he goes on this like bizarre journey, right? And then I won't spoil it for you because it's really cool. There's a bit here where he falls in something. He looks at he's looking at the stuff on his hand. What is it? It's like these tiny eggs, and he looks inside it, and they're all him, right? They're all little embryos of him, right? And he starts to freak out. That's a pretty good page. I like that page. But then he has this revelation, and he wakes up, and he's on the beach, ready to go to Nineveh. Right, and then the final chapter. So this is really cool. Okay, I do enjoy this bit. It starts off Egypt before the fall, right? And it's Pharaoh saying, "Let your people go," to Moses. Obviously, like, who are you? Then it goes, "What?" 1 year later, and it's not. It's like this is the year before. This is the year later. Yeah, this is after the 12 plagues. So he goes chasing after the Israelites, right? Only to get this massive wave. He says, no, it cannot be. Whoosh. And then this is a really cool bit. Like he gets sucked down, which is kind of similar to where Jonah went, and he falls into the same fish, right? And then next thing you know, he's the king of Nineveh. So there's this like tradition that the king of Nineveh and is the same person as Pharaoh. So I wanted to have that. So basically, but this is whole like a treatise on what mercy is, and it talks about like frustration, anger of life, anger at God, and what the relationship between God and humanity is, and God and you personally, which is represented in this tree, right? Which is why you like it's like I make it like a portal to reality, and he has this like extra dimensional experience, which then gets weird and more personal, right? But then ultimately leads to this like deep-seated revelation about what God is and understanding what mercy and life is. So then, we end up with, and I try and tie in all the characters, which is the dove and the raven, who now have made peace after being quite antagonistic. And then it pulls back, and it's we get to see that's Noah. You don't see Noah, and that's also King Nimrod. So that's the idea. They are in this like glorious afterlife, and there's this like huge making of section as well, where I take you through this whole commentary. So it's a cool book. It is a cool book. So please go ahead and sign up for it. It's my little look on life. Fine. Yeah, back it. Problem being is correct. Fine. I normally try and keep these streams only at an hour. Did you draw this yourself or commission? No, I drew it. That was my. In fact, you can actually see me learning to draw it. Like the first chapter, the first thing I drew, which is why I actually released that as chapter 3. Is the raven and the dove, right? And so they're very simplistic to draw. Which is why, basically, I just wanted, I didn't know I could make a comic. That's the thing. I didn't know I could do it. So I did one. I was like, that's the artistic level of an average Vertigo book, right? And I was like, the next one got better, and the next one gets better. Now everything I do, I push it to be better and better and better, right? But you can see that progression. So you got that book, and you also got the Imperium, which I'm going to do another stream on, or I'll just put a video on it. This week, I really should. I should just do a stream in the day. Fine, okay, everybody. I'm going to say, have yourself a blessed Sunday, and I will see you later today on those stream. What's that? 7 o'clock UK time. Have yourselves a blessed and fantastic